Good morning, it's February 13th in Minnesota, and this year that means it's 7 below zero right now. So I thought, should I stay in the house and stay warm, or should I drive the car and see how many miles I can get out of it? So of course I'm going to get in the car and drive. Right now I have it charged up to about 98%. We're going to switch it over to miles, which I don't usually do. I usually keep it on percentage. Then it's more like thinking about it like your gas tank or your cell phone battery, but just for giggles, I'm going to switch it over to miles and see how that wears down. It's a little bit windy today, but more the cold is going to be the issue. Now it is charging up in a garage, so the battery should be relatively warm starting out, but we're going to drive north, so we get a little extra cold as we go up. I'm going to stick to the highways for the most part to see how highway driving affects it. Hopefully end up near a supercharger or near home. So let's see how it goes. I'm excited for a test, and I hope I don't get stuck in the cold. After only 50 miles, I was down to 163 rated miles, but the temperature had improved to -5. I passed the Hinckley supercharger, but figured it might be tough to get all the way to Duluth, so I halved my remaining range and used that as a turnaround point. I don't recall the actual number, but as an example, if I passed Hinckley with 60 miles remaining on my energy graph, I looked for a turnaround point roughly 30 miles past, so I was sure to make it back to the superchargers. I made it back easily and drove around Hinckley and out to the casino and back to burn off a little more range. At 12:36, I plugged in with my rated range saying 6 miles left and the energy graph reading 4 miles. I'll cover my efficiency toward the end, but my plan was to charge quickly in Hinckley, then top up in Oakdale on my way south so I could maximize charging speed. It's 1:20 in the afternoon. I stayed here a little bit longer so I could skip the stop in Oakdale. By the time I got out of using the restroom and buying the cinnamon rolls, the dash display said I had 90 miles, and I thought, well, it's only 99 to get home, so I'm just going to do a little work while I'm here and then skip a stop. That turned into longer than I needed. I now have 160 miles on the dash and 112 on the energy meter, so should be solid gold to get all the way home. That's only 99 miles. So gonna skip the stop in Oakdale and just head right home. It's still 4 below zero Fahrenheit, and so it's still gonna be cold on the way home. I never did let the battery get completely cold or start with a cold battery, because generally I wouldn't do that. But I have another test coming up that might be more in line with that, of leaving it out in this kind of temperature and then seeing how the range is. But we'll see if that comes up and what the temperatures are when I can make that test happen. When I left home, I had 248 miles of rated range. After driving up past Hinckley, then back, and stopping at the supercharger, I had 6 miles of rated range left. Now our actual distance traveled was 142.6 miles, so that comes to 58.9% of our rated range that we actually got out of it. So not great, but for below zero temperatures, it's okay. But then coming home, we had the wind behind us, and that helped a little bit. And our rated range when we left Hinckley was 165 miles. Now, by the time I got home, I still had 14 miles of rated range left, meaning we used 151 miles of rated range, but we traveled 99 miles. So that comes out to 65.5%, so significantly better, with just that change in the wind and maybe some slight traffic variations. But most of the drive each way I was doing 76 miles an hour to make sure I was staying with the flow of traffic. Now this does happen in gas cars too. When we did our distance test in the fall, the car said we would get a certain amount of range before we needed to fill up, and it was significantly less than that. Not this significant, but still, you wouldn't want to plan on being able to cover that distance in cold weather. So for me, this really illustrates the importance of having a vehicle that has a range of 250 or more miles when living in a climate like Minnesota and experiencing some of these cold days and driving the kind of trips and distances I like to travel. Now, more would be great. 300, 400 would be fantastic. But I think 250 for me is about the bare minimum. It's important to have that confidence that you can go 140 miles in a stretch without having to stop and charge, even on these cold days. I know not everybody needs to travel that far, and frankly, I don't most days either. But for people to make the switch, they have to have that comfort level of knowing they're going to have the range they need when they need it. And remember, this is testing with a Model S that's 5 years old now. So Model 3s will be more efficient, Model Xs will be less efficient. And that's my 2 cents on a cold day here in Minnesota. Hopefully we'll get some warmer weather soon. And until then, thanks for watching, and have a great day.